Alright guys, in this episode on the CT125, we're going to make a massive improvement, and that is those stock front forks. I know you guys are looking at replacing the forks, maybe going with an upgrade, spending a ton of money, maybe revalving them, but I'm telling you what, I got a little secret for you. This is going to make them way better, and it's going to cost you somewhere between 6 and 12 bucks. And I painted mine too, so it cost me 20 bucks, but hey, for 6 to 12 bucks, you're going to be able to have a better ride, a better suspension right now. All right, hey guys, thanks for tuning in again for the next great mod on the CT70 build. And these little forks right here, they do okay. We're going to make them a little bit better. And how are we going to do it? This is a pretty easy job. I'm going to take each one of these fork tubes off. I've got the front wheel off because I'm going to change that front tire out, and I probably even paint that front wheel. So what we're going to do here is we need some fork oil, and I've got some Motul fork oil. This is the 15 weight medium to heavy fork oil. You don't need to use Motul. You could use Maximo, which is about $6 or $7 versus 15 bucks. Do the same thing, but that's what I've got, so we're going to use. So we're going to take this out, we're going to measure how much is in there, and we're going to probably add about 10% more, but we're also changing the fork oil viscosity to a higher viscosity fork oil. That should give us better damping, and with a little bit added fork oil will make the suspension ride a little bit higher in the travel. You don't want to add too much. You add too much and you'll blow out your seals, because it'll bottom out on the oil level, not the spring. And if it bottoms out on the oil level, you'll just blow the seals right out of the bike. Anyway, I'll show you what that looks like next. Important to mention a couple of things on this. You don't have to remove too much. So you get the front wheel off. So you've got this little thing off. That's your spinner for your speedometer. You don't want to take this little bracket off so that the fork tube can slide out. On this side, you want to take that brake off so that you can slide the fork tube out. Before you do that, loosen the two top bolts. Right on. All right, let's go with a really quick tip on the fork tube. And once you've loosened that up, you loosen this up, bring the tube down to this point so that you get a little bit more leverage with the one bolt that holds it in place. And then you can take this off. I used a little rubber mallet to loosen it up. You're gonna pull this off. This should be under a spring, so it's probably gonna pop out. All right, guys, so what do we have? We've taken the spring out, and this is the plug, and it's got a nice O-ring on there. You can inspect that. That's in bad shape. You put a new O-ring on it, but that looks like it's in good shape. Just gonna leave it. And this is the amount of fork oil in there right now. It's at right exactly 2 ounces of fork oil. That's a lot less than I thought would be in there. I could tell though that fork oil and cycling the tube, there is a valve in there, so that making this change should make a pretty good difference. I'm going to try and figure out how much oil to put back in, because 2 ounces seems like too little oil, but I'm going to check the other one. And I may have to make a guess, because of the volume in there. It could take a heck of a lot more than 2 ounces of oil, but I'm going to double check it. Somebody out there probably knows how much should really be in there. But I'm gonna go see if I can research that, and you may want to take a look online, see if you can find out for yourself. And I just want to add a little bit more. So right now, if I added 2% more, that doesn't, even 10% more, that's not a lot from 2 ounces. So that's just a tiny, tiny bit. Maybe another teaspoon. So we'll see. Okay, it's confirmed. 2 ounces in each fork tube. And we're going to up that to 3 ounces in each fork tube. And we're going to use the 15 weight, medium heavyweight fork oil. And that should make a bit of a difference. Well, you know how one project always turns into another. And every time I look at something, I'm like, oh, got to change that. So we just finished the project of changing the fork oil out and going to put them back on. And I noticed these fork tubes, if you take a look at these, might not be, oh, there's little scratches there. This paint is really very thin paint, really fragile. You just touch it and it'll scratch. So we're going to do we're going to repaint them while they're off, and I'm going to repaint them with truck bed liner. It's super tough. We're going to scuff up the fork tubes with 200 grit sandpaper. We're going to use some denatured alcohol to clean off any grease that there might be on there and spray them up and before we put them back on. That way I'll make them a little tougher. The little rocks and things aren't going to make them chip. I think a bug would chip these or at least scratch them. So little bug's teeth maybe. No more than 5 minutes later, that I got to show you these. So the paint is so thin that you just start scuffing it up with the sandpaper. You go right through. So that's actually going to make a good contact point for the paint. That should work out pretty well. I'll show you what the finished product looks like. So you can see I just laid down some cardboard, little boxes to hold them up so I can spin them, so I can do the whole thing all at once, let them dry, and then we'll put them back on. With those forks, just kind of follow your opposite procedure of taking them apart, put them back together. You've got to press pretty hard on those top caps to push them back in. You can use a socket or something to help you grip it a little bit and just push down. Make sure you don't cross thread it and slide them in. Put the forks back together, clean them up really well, and here, put them back on the bike like that. Thanks guys. Hey, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Make sure you have that bell icon because our next video is going to be super cool. It is going to be our rims, the tires, the brake lines, the shocks, and more. Oh my.